State of Decay 2.
Yeah.
All right. We all love the first game, I believe.
Love is a strong word.
Okay, appreciated.
I have a
First
deep
game.
appreciation and
Yes.
fondness for State of Decay.
Okay, you guys have been playing a lot of co-op. I don't even know. What do you think of this game so far? How is it?
It's so tricky. It has, like, inside of State of Decay 2 is probably one of my favorite games, but
One of your favorite games, period?
I don't know. The highs are really high,
Oh, good.
but boy, there's just a lot of terrible garbage in there as well. Like a lot of technical issues
Yeah.
that I don't know. They seem to rear their heads mostly in co-op.
Yeah.
So that was the big introduction with the sequel was they finally introduced co-op, which
Yeah.
was something that people wanted and Undead Labs kind of promised with the first game, but never came to fruition. So now you can play with 3 of your friends. So you got a 4-person squad killing zombies and going on supply runs together. And then
3 of your friends, 6,000 of your favorite glitches. Everybody's together.
well, yeah, it seems like you bring people along to witness what is going to happen because no one would believe it otherwise.
Really? Is that what you guys experienced as well?
Oh my gosh. Every
Absolutely.
like 10 minutes, there'd be something that we'd be laughing about. And that's part of what makes it fun, though. It's a weird thing to say, but we're enthralled with, like, you know, the looting of these houses we're going into and getting good gear and helping out, like, Jeff's society, you know, building that up. And then those really intense moments where the zombies are coming in and we're all, you know, fighting for life and doing everything we can to stay alive. And then in the middle of all that, all of a sudden Fava will just like fall halfway through the world and we just start laughing at it. Or Jeff's car will just launch into space.
Oh, God. It's weird to start on the glitch note, but I was watching Jeffem play the other day, and you guys got in a car. Jeffem, tell the story. How did this happen? What was that?
Yeah, we got in a car and Cork started driving to a location is how it got started.
Well,
and
look, he was pushing too far.
on his screen, he was just driving down the road.
It was a real
going to
Kane
the
and Lynch
place.
situation where different players saw different things.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was intentional.
He was just driving to where we were going, and on mine and Reiner's screens, we were driving into all kinds of trees and rocks. We clearly weren't on the road, but every time we would hit something, you know, we'd get stuck there for a second and then we'd jump forward. So clearly there was some kind of lag communication going on.
You know, when you look at Google Maps and it doesn't know quite where you are at times, you're like,
Sure.
you're
And
like
then
in
you'll
a
just
lake,
hop all of a
and then
sudden?
you hop over it. We never were placed back. It's like
You
we
were
were in an
living
alternate timeline.
Yeah,
Oh,
and so
God.
we hit a couple trees at certain points, which would cause the car to jump up in the air and kind of shake as it was going through. And then we just completely fell through the world, and the car disappeared, and the 4 of us were still sitting there in midair. You know, Cork is still driving the car with his little hands.
Completely normally from his perspective.
Meanwhile, I'm driving along and I just hear they're laughing and cackling.
Yeah,
about
we're
this stuff. And I'm like,
at everything.
I'm like, settle down, you guys. We're just driving on our stretch of
Your
road.
kids in the back, cool it.
Yeah,
You're not
exactly.
falling through the world.
But I could hear through the headset like people walking by in the office because I was playing from home, going like, "What the hell is this?"
And then Fava's like, okay, I'm going to just get out of the car and see what happens. And he does that. And on my screen, I just see a blood spray shoot out of his head. And then he reappears back in the car like this really awful horror movie like Ju-On or something. Like I was like, what the hell is
Slowly
this?
turns and looks at you with
But
a
on
bloody
his
face.
screen, he just started endlessly falling.
Yeah, I fell for a long time. And this happened multiple times, too. But yeah, I kept on falling, and then eventually Reiner got out of the car, too.
So we're both
he
falling.
fell for it as well.
Alice falling through the hole.
Yeah, and then eventually we kind of just respawned. I think whenever Cork must have gotten out of the car or something, it kind of put our games back together. But at that point, Reiner and I were surrounded by zombies who were killing us, and we were both
we
within each of our
respawn to
lives.
death.
And it's permadeath.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Even in co-op?
Yeah, and so that's the problem. Like, I fully appreciate games that are buggy and it's fun to, you know, kind of laugh at the crazy things that are happening, but that does not mesh well with a permadeath, you
Yeah.
know, super survival sim kind of game.
Because the way that the co-op works is everyone has their own communities that they're building up in the single player game, right?
Yeah.
And then if you want to join someone else's game, you basically send out one of your community members as like an envoy that you play while you're in their game. So this could be somebody, like to Fava's point, where you've spent hours and hours and hours leveling up this person and like meticulously shaping them into what you want them to be. and then suddenly they fall through the world and you're swarmed by zombies through no fault of your own. It's not like
Oh
you
my
approached a
God.
situation incorrectly aside from getting into a car.
Yeah.
So
So constantly just send out your turd burgers to other people's worlds just in case.
that's what I had to pause before I would send out valued members. So I'm like, I really kind of like Heather right now. She's got a lot going for her.
Do I like
So
Heather more than Reiner? Probably.
Yeah, we'll just send out Todd because he's not that great. he's a new member. Whatever happens.
But they're all important. Like, you never want to lose someone, right?
Yeah.
Like, they all help you build the society in different ways. Like,
Right.
they have their defined roles.
right. So maybe like for the purpose of if you have not played the original State of Decay, which I find completely. I can't even fathom that, right? We'll pull out a little bit and backtrack. Like State of Decay basically is like a zombie sim, and it's
Action-based sim.
action-based sim that you are simultaneously building up your survivors and leveling up their skills, and they're all kind of randomly generated from a pool of attributes and character models and everything. And then also you've got this community that you're building, and you build it up by going on supply runs with those individual characters, and your bases start off with people barely limping along, and then as you explore the world, you kind of increase your influence, which allows you to build like different modules in your base that let you survive longer. So it's got a lot going for it. And like this one pulls the story or pushes the story back farther than even the first one. Like the first one wasn't a really strong narrative to begin with.
Yeah.
But you had a fairly like it was very open-ended and you could ignore the objectives, but you could tell you were being pushed in a direction. This one is very easy to, I wouldn't say get lost, but just to ignore it altogether and
It
just
feels like the game design is encouraging you to like, just go ahead and do your own thing.
exactly.
that's great.
Yeah, and there are a lot of like procedurally generated missions. Also, we'll just throw out the procedurally generated buzzword out there as much as possible.
Yeah.
So you constantly have stuff to do. People are always asking for your help, but it's not like you're just following a straight path. So I enjoy that formula a lot. I like that style of like barely getting by, and then like it makes those moments of triumph where you do limp back to your home base at the last possible second with like a trail of zombies right behind you, and then people at home base start shooting them from
That's
the other side of
awesome.
the fence. It's very great.
We had a great moment of that where we had, I don't know, we had to go, a half a mile across like pretty dangerous terrain. And we are like, our health is down, but more importantly, our stamina is way down. So we can't sprint or anything like that. So if a zombie sees us, we have to engage it.
Yeah.
But each of us just on our own, like we didn't even want to team up with each other because if someone like got a zombie on them, we're like, get away from them.
and that's another, to throw out another buzzword of emergent storytelling. That's one of those things that fits so well with, kind of zombie stories of where we basically just all split up and turned on each other because we were all that close to death, and we knew that all of our characters, their lives were at stake and we were going to lose them. And that's when you start making those really cool decisions
And the way that it
and
works,
having
like,
those stories. Yeah.
like it's not always on foot. Like if you're smart, you will get in a vehicle whenever possible. But there's always that temptation where you're just like, well, I'm just going to go to the house. It's just right across the street. I don't need to get in a truck and drive 100 yards. That's ridiculous. I'm not that lazy. So then you get out on foot, and then the breadcrumb trail that you kind of go, wow, look, there's a garage over there that might have some fuel that I need to power this generator that I've acquired. So then you're tempted to go farther and farther away on foot. Whereas, you wouldn't typically get in a car and make all these little tiny stops. So you just find yourself out in the wild. And cars are fairly rare.
Rarer than the first game even?
And they're finite, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's the thing. I haven't
think
like
they
methodically
respawn.
destroyed them all or anything like that. But resources, like once you loot a building, that's that. But it's interesting because if you do go into someone else's world, like you guys went into Shay's world and found his favorite car and just destroyed it.
Yeah.
So
Is that intentionally?
No.
It
And this was another problem where, it was kind of our fault because we were trying to test how far away we could get from Shay,
Oh,
the
yeah.
tethering,
The tethering,
mechanic.
yeah.
Right. You also try that in the office quite frequently. How
Yes.
far away can I possibly
get from
Shay?
Shay?
Yeah.
But so I drove to the limit basically, and when it respawned me, it respawned the car on its side, and so it exploded because of it. And that's another situation of
Shay's like,
where
what's
it's
that sound?
yeah, but that's another situation of where it's like it's not the player's fault, and these things are such rare commodities that those are the moments where it feels like it just totally sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, what about for the crowd? And I consider myself in this crowd. I know Leo's in that crowd of, I don't want to play co-op. I want another State of Decay experience, single player.
if you want to just strictly focus on single player, I
Yeah.
think as fun as the co-op is, and it certainly makes some of the more challenging objectives easier because you've got someone to kind of run interference with you and help take out these plague hearts or whatever. I think it's better as a single player game.
And like significantly less buggy.
Absolutely. Like it's
And
things as
visually better too.
Visually better. Like the flashlights are broken in multiplayer. Like,
we should point out this. I'm sure it's going to be patched. A lot of these little details might get fixed along the way, but
you know what though?
yeah,
This game's been in development for a long time, and this is being published by Microsoft.
yeah.
They have a game preview program where if they have a game that they want to release and they want players to get on board with it when it is in a state where it is largely unfinished or there are parts where cars respawn on their sides and all this stuff, that's awesome if someone wants to sign up for being a playtester. And I think that's great. I would not do that on purpose.
Yeah.
Because I want to play the game that is finished.
And they don't expect you to spend $30 to do
So
that.
I'm sure that they're like they've said, they've released patches and they're going to continue to release patches to fix things. I think that this patch culture is we've gone too far.
Yeah.
Like I understand, like God of War, for instance. Let's just keep talking about that game. Yeah. That's had a ridiculous number of updates, also. But it's been things like, hey, let's just let you change the size of text on the screen. Yeah. Like the game as it launched functioned.
Yeah.
Conveniences and things that make things a little better. It seems like State of Decay 2, as fun as it is, and I'm having a good time with it, is frustrating because it does not feel finished. It feels like the multiplayer aspect of it is broken in many ways.
It's like they should have patched that in 6 months down the road.
Or they should have delayed this, or said that this game is going to be part of the game preview.
Yeah.
So all aboard. If you want to be a pioneer and have a great time goofing around, we promise we're going to fix this stuff later. But like somebody just buys a game and expects it to like, especially like a multiplayer mode, which was a destination for people who really like the first one. Like that.
And that's what everybody wanted from it.
And it's not just multiplayer. Shay was telling us about how he was on a mission the other day where he had like 3 AI companions with him, and he had to destroy a plague heart or whatever, and he threw a Molotov cocktail in it, and it burned, and the fire went out, or it looked like it went out, and then all 3 AI people went in, and they all got lit on fire by the invisible fire that was still apparently there, and they all died.
But the AI even thought it was gone. Like, think about that.
Oh my God, no! What a nightmare. And you guys were talking about on a much smaller scale, just a lot of this door's open or this door's broken, but your character will still animate it like it's a ghost door.
Here's another one. Like, how long did we play together? 10 hours maybe? There was a mission we went and took down a plague heart. These are these kind of, not nests because they have nests as well, but these really, what would you call them, Jeff?
It's like a nest. I think that's fair. Like an infestation inside of a building that generates these new plague infected zombies that are like more aggressive.
So if you get bit by them, you are turning into a zombie and you have to cure that. So Fava and I both got bit. So we went back to Jeff's base, went to his infirmary, used these plague hearts that we got or this stuff to craft a medicine, a cure. And when we did that, the medicine we crafted went to our inventory, like this separate place, our locker basically. And so we went upstairs to where the locker was, and it was gone. Like it was not spawning in the game. We couldn't interact. We couldn't access that inventory. So we had to quit.
So we knew that's where it was.
Oh no.
We just had to quit the game.
And it happened before that as well, where we went back to craft the thing, and it wasn't, we needed to get the resources in the first place, and the locker wasn't there, so we had to go down the road to a different place where we could access the locker, and we got the supplies and then came back and then crafted it. And that's when we realized, oh yeah, of course it's in the locker that we don't have. They didn't just give it to us. And if our characters had, if their lives had actually been on the line at that point and they died because of something like that,
oh my God,
that would just be so disappointing.
What are the highest highs, Cork? Is it just the sim aspect? You just enjoy that progression so much?
I enjoy the progression, and I like Fab was saying, I just love those moments that just string together to create a really memorable series of experiences. Like this morning when I was playing, I climbed up on top of a billboard. And I didn't have very much health with this character because I wanted to scout out this area that I was exploring. And as I was up there, like I started hearing all these zombies, go figure, and they had just started congregating at the base of the billboard. And I was like, well, if I try to go down this ladder, I'm going to be overwhelmed. So I kind of like thought about it. I was like, I'm just going to kind of fall off the side and see if I can run to my car before they get me. And I was just barely able to do that. And then it's just like whipping donuts around this area. smashing the rest of them and then like driving away with the horn honking. It's just really like those highs are so good. And that's what makes this so frustrating is that it doesn't feel like they learned, especially because like the initial release on the 360 and PC of the game was really buggy and had a lot of problems. Sure. And then they released the year one special edition on Xbox One, which, hey, go figure, still had a lot of bugs and issues. So it's like they've at a certain point, it's like, fix your shit, you know? This is a game that's being published by Microsoft.
They have such a great idea for this.
It's such a great idea. And like the systems are so interesting and the gameplay is a lot of fun and the loops are well designed and thought out. But just the implementation, it just stumbles and staggers around way too frequently. It's very frustrating. And then like even the performance on Xbox One X is kind of 30 frames per second. Kind of. Fortunately, it's one of those play anywhere games, so I just put it on my PC and was able to access my saves, and that's where I've been playing it now. Is just it runs so much better.
Less buggy overall on PC?
It's the same bugs.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, at least it's happening at 60 frames per second.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, right.
Additionally,
I was like, view of it.
Exactly. It's things like when you're driving around, you'll see like, oh, it's spawning zombies around me because that's how games work. It's not like the zombies exist when you're not there. So, but you'll see them like on the like way in front of you, and then they're just like 100 feet in the air, and then they just kind of drop to be like, all right, here I am, you know. But that happens on PC too, but it just looks a lot nicer when it drops.
So I'm still trying to figure out, like, as a fan of the first game, and as you pointed out, like, I think State of Decay fans just expect bugs to some degree. It sucks, but we've gotten used to it. Is this even over and above that? Even like in the single player mode, will I dive into State of Decay 2 single player and still just be overwhelmed?
You will run into frustrating things.
Yeah.
But I think that if you really enjoyed State of Decay and you know that you are taking a risk every time you go out of your base, that you may lose a character for some like bogus reason.
Yeah,
it's really fun. Like I enjoy that, like the grind of it, and I like clearing out the infestations. I like the core of the game. I think is so good.
The mechanics feel really good, like the combat and all the way you can traverse stuff. Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's a really neat game, and it's really difficult to talk about though, because it's like
difficult to talk about, and I'd imagine difficult to review as well.
Well, Jeff came to me. He's like, "Can I give it a question mark as my score?" And I cleared that, so that's going to be our first question mark.
Okay, you're still working on the score for people curious.
It's to be specific, it's the Riddler question mark, so it's very stylized. So I think it's going to look really cool.
We went all out on it.
Yeah.
Oh
exactly.
God. It's also interesting thinking about the Jeffs here. You have played more Days Gone and State of Decay 2 probably more than anybody in the world at this point. Did you find yourself thinking of Days Gone a fair amount since it's our cover story right now?
Yeah, they're definitely you kill undead things in them both. But I think they're write that down. Obviously, Days Gone is more narrative driven, and you don't have like you're not fiddling with the knobs and dials of your home base and that kind of thing. So depends on what you're into. If you like messing around with systems at your own peril, certainly State of Decay is worth playing.
Yeah, and if you have a YouTube channel, State of Decay 2, man, those bug videos are pretty fun.
It's going to be a wild ride, yeah.
And despite the fact that Days Gone doesn't come out for like another year, it was much more stable than State of Decay.
Even if it's just like little things, like
huge bummer.
Yeah, like hey, Deacon St. John, when he's using a gas can, you see the gas can in his hand, and it's like I'm refilling a gas tank in State of Decay 2, and you just kind of stand around while you hear the sound of gas sloshing around.
Really?
Yeah, that's if you manage to find the right place to rub your character onto the car, because like it's very finicky about positioning.
Oh my God.
You have to put up with so much to get to the good stuff, but the good stuff's really good.
Oh, it's impossible. Oh, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm still looking forward to playing it.
Yeah. And again, they'll probably release a bunch of patches and then everything will be great, but we really shouldn't tolerate this.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
As buggy as co-op is, like we had some really good memories come out of that thing. So I'd recommend checking it out that way if you can.
Okay.
And it's on Xbox One and PC and it'll be in Game Pass, right? That's the $10 service.
Oh, yeah. I guess it will.
Game Pass,
yeah, so it's free, Cork. You can't criticize it. I mean, come on.
Okay, I take back a bug approach. I like the bugs.
But you can look forward to Jeff's review. It'll be on Game Informer's site at some point soon. Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.